So it is 1:59 and not 2 o'clock, but I'm going to start anyway. Okay? I know, so rebellious of me. Okay, so my name is Qumisha Goss. I go by Q. I didn't bring any cards because I'm forgetful like that, but my email address is up here and my Twitter handle is up here. If you have questions or you would like assistance with things after this, feel free to email me or tweet at me. I'm open to helping. So let's get started. Oops, if this will work. I know. Technology guys have been angry. Okay, so about me, whoops, that's me, working at work. And that's my job, the library. And I'm gonna pause this because it's got a mind of its own. Right, so I am a librarian. I am not a developer or a software programmer or anything like that. So you have been tricked, and this is not about the typical libraries that you think about when you think about Python. This is about the actual building, the place, the public library, okay? I'm a librarian. I basically do a lot of instruction. Some people call it an instruction library. My job does not. I'm just a librarian. Other people have called me a technologist. I don't know what that means. I'll look it up later, but I thought it sounded cool. The kids at the library call me the computer lady. Because anytime they have problems with technology, they just come find me. Q, my phone won't work. How do you make this go? Can you plug the printer in? I work for the Detroit Public Library. The Detroit Public Library is one of the largest systems in the nation. We have a main library and 21 branch libraries and a bookmobile. I work at the Parkman branch library, which is on the west side of Detroit, if any of you know about Detroit. What's important to know about the library is how we do our programs and things. Everything has to be free. All attendance is voluntary. We don't force people. Some children's parents can force them, but I don't have that power. And everything needs to be easily accessible because we're dealing with the public and people just come as they are. So, let's see. All right, so let's talk about the library experience. First, how many of you have been to a public library in the past 3 months? Whoa, so you guys have not been tricked. You guys are library users. That is excellent. Okay, so, boom, right? Libraries are more than books. And if you guys go to libraries, you know that already, right? So a little bit about my experience with patrons. A lot of people tell me, hey, I'm computer literate. I don't know if you guys have heard that term, but I hear it a lot. So basically, the translation for computer illiterate is, please help me now and help me a lot, because I'm not sure what I'm doing. People also want instant gratification. So whatever they want it now and they want it today. They don't want to hear, oh, well, you can take a class to learn about that. They want their problem solved right then, or they want the information right then. Access, a lot of people come to our program because they either don't have a computer or they don't have access to the internet. So if they do have a computer, they come to us and they want to use the Wi-Fi, right? Or if they don't have either of those things, we've got both of those. Information, I get a lot of how do I questions. How do I send this email? How do I send this attachment? Some people just want to look up information about boilers or cars or whatever. So everybody's looking for something, access or information. And the most important thing is fear of commitment. All of my patrons have a fear of commitment. They will come to me and they will say, I want to learn about this. And I will say, you cannot learn this in one day, whatever that might be. I will say, you need to come to class. I offer classes. Come once a week. And they will say, okay. And they will show up to none of those classes. Or they will show up to one, and then they will be like, oh, I forgot, or something happened, right? Libraries. We have books. That's first. Most people don't come for those, but that's what we have. That's what we're about. We also have computers, and we have the internet, and we have programs. Programs is our blanket statement for everything else we do. So If your kids come and draw a picture, that's a program. If the firefighters come visit, that's a program, right? So all those non-traditional things and events, those are our programs. So that pretty much covers everything else that people don't think happens in a library is a program. Classes, we teach Microsoft Office a lot, I do. I teach Python to my kids. We also have classes for interviewing, for resumes, all sorts of things. We offer tons of classes across the branches. And all of these things are free, hooray for free. The little asterisk there is you need a library card. Please have a library card, right? You don't have to have a library card to participate in programs or classes, but you do need them for books and the internet. I did put on here that computers can be old and computers can be slow. So if you are thinking about having a program at a library, you would like to consider this before you go into the library, right? Because they may say, yeah, we got computers, we got the internet, but it may not be up to the quality that you expect as a developer. You may be sad, so just be aware. All right, so the diversity shortcut. There are no real shortcuts to diversity, but most of the time when I come to different Python events, there are discussions about diversity, and mostly in terms of race and gender, right? They say we don't have enough women. Where are the colored people? Where are the people of color here, right? I would like to approach this from a different way. A lot of the people are skipping over this, the economic status, right? That is something that I think is really big in America and really important when we think about diversity. The people that come to the library are different genders, different races, but one thing is most of them are of poor economic status. The people that rely on the public library system are people who don't have computers and people who don't have internet. Some people do have those things and they just enjoy libraries. Those people are very rare and I love them very much, okay? But other people who are in need come to the library. So what I would like to suggest to people who are considering teaching or are looking to include more people in Python and programming is that you go to the library because that's where the people are. The people are already there. So instead of trying to entice them with candy and things to come follow you, you could go meet them and then introduce it to them there. Because a lot of our children actually spend most of their time, they leave school, they come to the library, and they sit until the library closes. On Saturday, they beat me there. When I come into work, kids are sitting on the porch, just sitting there, saying, well, how much longer, Miss Q? So you got 10 minutes. They say, okay, they'll sit there and wait, right? People who are looking for jobs, they live at the library. We're their home base, right? So if you're looking for people, you can find them at the library. So who are these patrons? These are some of my people. Get ready for the cuteness, all right? We just finished RoboPie Jr., where we made paper robots, and we hooked them up with LEDs and batteries, and the kids loved it. I had 23 children show up for this, all right? So here's some of my kids. About less than a half to more than 1/3 of those kids are girls, all right? And to me, they're not very diverse. Most of them are African American, right? But to the general coding, right? And I really like this picture. We had a whole family come out and participated. Mom, dad helped their kids with this project, right? And this was for my younger kids because they're not old enough to understand Python yet, but I'll talk to you about how I run that in a second. So, Parkman Coders is the program that I run at my library because the name of the branch is Parkman, right? And we started this program separately. These are some of the things I'm working on this summer. You see my RoboPie Jr., my little paper robot that we did with the children. And on the bottom is a Raspberry Pi and a couple motors. We are in the process of building robot cars right now. So the kids are like all about it. They actually picked that topic, and then I made myself learn how to do it. So talk to you about Parkman Coders. So we're basically introducing our kids to Python and computational thinking because, like I said, the kids live at the library, and what do? They play video games every day. And they get 2 hours on the computer with their library card, and at the end of 2 hours, they'll say, can I have some more time because there's nothing to do here? And I'll say, read a book, and they'll say, no. So Yeah, that's pretty much all kids. They like books, maybe. If I say read a book and you can get back on the computer, they're like, okay, I'll do that. So we're trying to switch them from being constant users to being creators of the technology that they like to be hands-on with so much, and hopefully make them productive members of society who will eventually read a book on their own, right? We are focusing on children between the ages of 7 and 15 because that is the age group of people that come to the library predominantly, where I work. Each community will be different. 7 to 15 is a horrible age group to work with because it's such a large gap. So that's why you saw the paper robots for the kids. And the kids come with their siblings and with their cousins from the neighborhood. So there may be 6 kids in one family. And the oldest may be 10, but the youngest may be 5. And the 5-year-old is coming because the rest of them are there. So I also get, the 6 to 5, where it drags down a little bit. So I've decided to split it in the half. And that is why we do the paper robot things to entertain the little kids, because they want to participate, but they don't have the right attention span to get down to actually learning Python and working through their errors. Little kids are like, error? No, I'm done today. I'm going to go run over here. We use Raspberry Pi mini computers for our program because they are cheap, right? They're $35 a piece. They're actually built for education. I am a Raspberry Pi certified educator. I went to Pi Academy in end of January in California for that. If people are interested in it, I highly recommend Raspberry Pi's Pi Academy. There is one more in the United States, I believe, so you should look that up. And it's spelled P-I-C-A-D-E-M-Y, no A in it, Pi Academy. The application for it is really easy, okay? So don't be afraid to try that if you're interested. Raspberry Pis, because one, administration at my library is scared that I would teach the kids how to hack the computers and overthrow the library. Little do they know that I don't know how to do that. Some of the kids probably already know how to do that. So we use the Raspberry Pis and we set them up as desktops. Some of you more hardened Raspberry Pi users probably set them up in Linux and just go for it. The kids like the desktop setup because it's familiar to them. When they see the desktop, they say, okay, menu button, I know exactly where to go, and within 5 seconds, they're on Minecraft Pi. So then you have to bring them down off of Minecraft Pi a little bit. Every time we do a Parkman Coders event, whether we're doing robot cars or we do Minecraft or whatever it is, we always have to start with the basics of Python, which is boring to them. They're like, why? Until they learn how to do strings and variables, and then they say, Mark equals booger or something like that. And then they're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Is Mark a booger? Yes, true, Mark is a booger. And they're like, okay. So they do love that. But once they figure out that they can use Python for things that they already like Minecraft or to build a robot car, then they're off and running. And then it's like, oh, can we build a drone? And I'm like, wait a second till we get the car right. Right? So our ongoing goal is to promote computer science and technical learning experiences for our kids so they can actually build these things on their own. Or some maybe will teach me something. So these are some more of my kids who have finished the program, once again, mostly African American, so not diverse to me, but diverse to what the typical Python community is. All right. So some things about running Parkman Coders, or if you would like to run your own program at a library. First, most libraries are interested in this sort of thing. Libraries are doing a lot of makerspace projects. If you personally have an interest in this and want to do it at your local library, totally go in and say, hey, I want to do this, because they will probably support that because they don't have to learn Python like I did. Things that work for this. Displays, and this is a total library thing. Whoops. Maybe the picture is not there. So I did book displays for my kids. Oops. Where am I? Which I don't have the picture for. Anyway, we did book displays. So in the library, we set up a bunch of books, and that little thing I showed you with my robots, I put that in a table in the middle of the children's area, and all the kids ran to it and shook the box. It was like, how do I get one of these? Can we do it today? And I said, no, we're doing it next week. So displays work. Raspberry Pis are really beneficial. Like I said, some of our computers are old and the internet can be slow, so it's nice to have the Raspberry Pi that is its own thing and isn't bogged down with the regular library computer system. Working in groups. You will be surprised that children are willing to work in groups to get a robot car. If they think that that is the goal, they're willing to share materials. So the budget can be really tight for these in the library. So we have 10 Raspberry Pis currently, and we have an average sign up for these programs of 30 kids. So I am undersupplied. But the kids will totally work in the group, and they enjoy that. They enjoy helping each other out. When they worked singly by themselves, they would still go and help each other out. So now I'm just like, well, we'll take more kids, and they'll work with one. When we did our Minecraft program, some kids would figure out how to build a big block of TNT and explode their whole world, and other kids would be like, how do you do that? And they'd say, okay, I'm coming. And they'll go and help the other kid. So they are willing to work in groups. Unplugged activities to reinforce concepts are helpful, and it helps me pry them away from the computer a little bit. Also, it's a good backup. So the internet slowness, that has caused us some serious problems in our programming. Having unplugged activities as a backup is really helpful. So that way, if something goes wrong, you can not look like the world is falling apart. You can just give them a piece of paper and say, hey, try your hand at this. Or let's go outside and see if we can draw loops on the concrete. So, freedom. The kids really have their own ideas about how things should work. So when I said robot cars, they immediately scattered to the four winds, and they had all their different ideas about how they want it. So I've learned that in structuring a program, you can say we're going to do this, this, and this, but when it comes to programming, they learn that they have flexibility. The kids will come up with their own ideas. So I try to leave it a little bit open-ended so that they can have the opportunity to try new things. Because if you limit the things that they could try by sticking to your certain course you planned out, then they lose their attention for it and they're just kind of wandering. A couple issues I told you about my age group. You want to get a really focused age group for this. Some of the older kids will tell me, oh, that's baby stuff. I don't want to do that. Or I did that this one time in school and I know everything about it. And then the little ones really want to see something happen right then, but they can't get it to work. I had one kid who got an error in idle. He saw the red came up, and he was just so distraught. He's like, why is this red? Why is this red? But he was really determined. He was 10. The next day he came back, he's like, no more red. He was super attentive to his code, and he's like, everything is going to be right. You know what I mean? Yes. So it's really cool when you get that. How to keep their attention. I decided that I would not try on my own to keep their attention anymore. I let them guide the class. So the robot cars was totally their idea. So the year previous to that, we had done Minecraft Pi, and they really enjoyed it. And they were like, okay, so we build robots next, right? And I was like, oh, robots is not the next thing after learning the basics of Python and Minecraft. But that's what they wanted to do. So I did Pi Academy, learned how to make a robot car, and we're doing robot cars. Childlike ambition, yes, that is an issue because the robot cars, and then they were like, now can you make this fly, Miss Q? And I was like, no, I cannot make this fly. So you will get that. If you teach a kid how to build a robot car, they will want to know how to make it fly. Then they will want to know how to make things explode. Can you call it? Can it come to my house? Will it serve me food? They get really intense. So just be prepared for that and never say no is what I say. I just tell them not yet. Eventually you will be good enough to do that. No is too discouraging. Another issue in my community is kids and adults who can't read. Some of the children who can't read, they kind of just fall back away from the group. As you know, Python is a text-based language, so you need to read or at least be able to spell things. So we do spend a lot of time with our kids making sure that they get the basics, because people who can't read just tend to fall back. They won't say, I don't get this, or I don't understand. They'll say, that's stupid. Right? And then they'll be disruptive. So what we do along the way is we play games like Jeopardy. We made Python Jeopardy. So we'll say, how do you spell this word? It's an audio clip in a PowerPoint, right? And then it's a contest, and they're spelling the words, right? And then if they don't know it, they will learn it because we play it almost once a week, right? So if you hear the repetition, then they learn. So sometimes you just have to be sensitive to that because this is the public and people are coming from different spheres of life and we don't want to exclude anybody. Another issue, bureaucracy. Libraries do have a lot of bureaucracy. So you may have this really cool idea and the librarian may be all on board for your idea to come to the library and start this program. And then you may get some pushback from the higher ups, right? Especially if they don't know what you're doing, right? So when I told my administration we were doing Python, they were like, oh, that's nice. And then, of course, they were like, oh, are the kids going to hack all our computers because you taught them this language, right? Because they don't know what that entails. So you have to be considerate of that. You want to try to, what I say is water down your talk, right? Tell them, this is what I'm going to teach them. This is what they will be able to do. They will not be able to execute world dominance after 2 hours of Python coding, right? You have to be understanding of if money is involved or buying things, it could take a long time for the library to buy things. It could take a long time to get money. If you have funding for it and you're bringing the supplies and the money and the things you need, that will work excellent. You'll be smooth sailing. If you're expecting the library to buy things for you, you might want to plan a couple months in ahead to give them time to actually find the funds and get those things that you need. Okay? So, future possibilities with the people who suggested them in the parentheses, right? Kids want drones. So, yeah, we'll talk about that. I know, right? They all want their personal drones and they want to take them home so they can spy on their neighbors. The adults, I've had a lot of interest. I focused on kids mainly because I have a lot of kids and I just wanted to keep them busy and not breaking things. So, adults have given me a lot of interest at the library, so if you're interested in teaching adults, there is a need for that in the libraries as well. Library administration says this is a makerspace thing, and they want to build a makerspace, which is cool because I'll have supplies on hand. I personally am really interested in making portable Raspberry Pi labs to send out to other branches because that's something that I think can be really effective. As opposed to a makerspace in one area, right? Libraries are very community-based, so the people around them support them, and most of the times they don't go to the one on the other side of the city. So I think having a portable Raspberry Pi lab that we can pack up and take to another branch or just drop off if people wanted it would be really helpful. So I'm working on building that. All right, so that's it for me. Thanks for having me and listening so attentively. I will take these things in this order. Questions first, then comments, then advice, and if we have time, peculiar sayings and funny stories. Yes.
Do you have a GoFundMe or a PayPal that we could throw money at so that you never have to turn away kids for, these classes? Because that's just silly. You got everything working except for enough Raspberry Pis. There's people in this room that have more money than they know what to do with. Not me. I have kids. There's other kids in here. And so maybe, if you don't, maybe make a GoFundMe or something, or just do a lightning talk tonight hassling people for cash because it breaks my heart to think that you got everything and you're telling kids you got to wait because a $30 shortfall.
Yeah. I will get one ASAP. Yes, question in the back.
I'm a teacher, and I know there's not many of them here. Do you have a relationship with the schools around you? And if there's high schools, do you try to get the high schools that may be teaching Python to bring kids to help you so you can teach 30 instead of 10?
That is a great idea. As far as I know, none of the Detroit public schools are teaching coding languages as a set class. Computer science is not a part of the curriculum. A couple of...
We have an organization called Computer Science Teachers Association.
Yes.
And I'll email you with their address so that you can get in contact with them. And they'll come and help you teach classes, and they'll also try to take some load off your
Excellent.
And I got your email address.
Yes. Please send that to me. That's always helpful. Yes. Question?
How often are you teaching these classes?
During the summer, we do a month-long program, so that because they're pretty much there every day. During the school year, we do it maybe once a month because then they kind of just dip off into school stuff. You got a second part?
I did.
Yeah.
So if I was not a librarian
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted maybe to help our library do this,
Mm-hmm.
how would I go about doing that? Who would I talk to?
When you go into the library, you can ask for the manager of the library. They would be in control of the programs. And just when you come to them, make sure you have your stuff in order about what you want to teach, how frequently you're available to do it, if the library needs money, or if you have the materials yourself. And if you come with that all together, then they should be ready to have a conversation with you about it. Yep. Any question up here?
What's the curriculum and a typical time frame for a class? Like, you probably can't keep them engaged 8 hours long. How long do you give them before they're
Right.
something else?
Most of our classes are about 2 hours long. That's pretty much the longest I've tried to hold them. 2 hours is a good time, so we do probably about 1 hour of like hard instruction, and then the last hour should be something tangible where they're touching something or doing an activity or a game or something to keep them engaged.
And do they complete a project in that 2 hours, or do they come back and work on it the next day?
Depending, the robot cars, we've been doing that for 4 weeks. So each, yeah, same project. Yep. So but then like for the little kids, the RoboPie Junior, that was a 1-day thing. We did that in 2 hours, hooked up some LEDs and some batteries. So different levels. For things that they personally requested themselves, they are willing to come multiple days to get that done. For things that I make up, I try to make sure they're done in a day or two so they can have something to take away with them. Yeah.
Speaking of,
Oh, sorry.
Last question. Where
no,
where-
that was the last question.
That was the last question. Okay. I'm sorry. Ask me afterward. All right. Thank you. Yep. So I can take questions in the hall if you would like. Thank you.